What is going on, Guardians? Ember here with another one for you. Today we're going to be talking about an interesting but undeniably powerful way to spread the Void weakening debuff around to all of the enemies in any activity that you are jumping into, whether you are running a Legend Law Sector or hopping into Onslaught with a team. You're going to be glad you brought this build. Before we get into it, let's head down below this video, absolutely obliterate that like and subscribe button. Let me know if there are any powerful weapon combinations or builds that you've been enjoying since the new Into the Light update has dropped. And without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so today we're going to be pairing Chromatic Fire with Revision 0. I really think that this is a match made in heaven, and this is why. Chromatic Fire, the perk on this, Crystalline Transistor, precision final blows from kinetic weapons create an explosion that deals damage in the element of your subclass and applies an elemental defect or effect. And it's super interesting. When you use this in a Void subclass like we're doing now, we're actually going to be spreading the weakening debuff with all of our kinetic precision damage here. And so that's why we're jumping in on Revision 0, especially since we're going to be able to use that Hunter's Trace and load the high damage rounds into this weapon and get that sniper essentially side of the weapon going, because you're going to be able to activate this explosion at a huge radius if you can deal that damage to a large enemy like a champion or a yellow bar, or just really any enemy that has something besides a red bar. I mean, really, even if you have a red bar right next to a boss or something, you can take it out with a normal shot, spread that weakening debuff to the boss.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
It's super easy, and it's essentially on hand, ready-made all the time. I'm using the Frenzy refit on Revision 0 here for the faster reloads. I'm using the Light Burst Fire. I actually don't know. I know there was an update recently between the Light or the Heavy Burst Fire, and I'm not sure which one is best. So if you actually do know that, go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll go ahead and pin that comment because I would like to know, and I know everybody else would as well. We are using in our subclass here Cataclysm Nova Bomb, noting that we are also using the Vortex Grenade with Feed the Void and Chaos Accelerant, so we can have Devour up constantly, and we get that extra supercharged Vortex Grenade with Echo of Remnants. We also want to make sure we have Echo of Persistence, so we have the extra timer on Devour. We are also using Echo of Harvest and Echo of Expulsion. Checking out the artifact mods that we have going on here, a couple of them to note since we are in a Lost Sector. We're using a rocket launcher with Overload rocket rounds. We are going to be using the Kindling Trigger and the Flint Striker, so we can get tons of Radiant applied to us all the time. So we're not only going to be Radiant giving us extra damage, we are going to be spreading the weakening debuff with Revision 0. It's a twofer, and it's amazing, especially when you compare it with something like Solo Operative if you are running a Legend Lost Sector, or maybe you're doing a solo dungeon, I'm sorry. And so let's go ahead and check out these mods that we have together, bringing it all together with a nice bow. Make sure we're using that grenade kickstart. I was using a utility kickstart, but I definitely felt like swapping that with a Reaper mod, and using the grenade kickstart definitely helped you to keep that grenade time up more often. So now that we have that out of the way, let's check out the gameplay and see just how well this does. It's pretty surprising.
Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it!
Alright, so my favorite thing about this build is how easy and on demand it is to spread that Void weakening debuff anywhere on the field that you want. And that's huge, because usually if you want to spread a weakening debuff around on a Void subclass, you have to equip the fragment that tanks your discipline, making it take longer for your grenade to recharge. I'm not even really building into my discipline stat here. You could definitely build it higher, and you'll have these grenades all the time to throw wherever you want, the supercharged grenades, and all it takes is a simple headshot kill from Revision 0 to spread that weakening effect into all the things stuck inside of that vortex. Additionally, what is great is you actually don't have to change a single thing about this build if you want to use a different subclass. You can essentially swap in any subclass you want. The only thing that will be different is you will not be weakening, since we're using Void now. If you want to swap to Arc instead, you'll be blinding all the enemies that get hit with that explosion. If you use Strand, you'll be severing all those enemies. I think Solar also spreads the Scorched debuff around along with some slow debuff for the stasis. I mean, every one of them have a really fun way that you can play into this build, and so it's really nice to just have something like this to keep in your back pocket for anything that you want to do. I personally had the most fun and found the most success using the Void subclass here, and specifically, I mean, there's no secrets here. You're using Devour all the time, and you have it up all the time pretty much while using a Void subclass. That's at least the idea, and this one keeps it pretty easy to keep that Devour up all the time, since we are charging those grenades, keeping the duration longer. You're basically always going to get a kill with that ability. And one of the more difficult things about using Chromatic Fire is you want to get the larger explosions. You want to definitely spread that weakening amount to all of the enemies that are around. And the easiest way to do that is to kill a large enemy first. An enemy that has a lot of health, an orange bar, a yellow bar enemy. And this build has a great way to do that. Since we're using Revision 0, you're going to be able to swap to that sniper mode and deliver with surgical precision a weakening debuff to all of the enemies in a group around any major or boss that you can find on the field. And with the artifact this season, you can get Radiant essentially for free. I mean, I'm using the Cartesian coordinate here, and if I decided I wanted to just pop off and kill a whole bunch of the smaller red bar enemies with my Cartesian coordinate, that's going to give me Radiant. If I can then swap to my Pulse Rifle, the Revision 0 here, and get a kill with that, a headshot kill, and spread Weaken to the boss, I'm Radiant, I have Weaken on the boss, and that's going to make some insane burst damage if I can get a charged up grenade and a Cataclysm Nova Bomb right on top of them. They're going to take huge amounts of damage from that. And I know that it is sometimes necessary to have a build that is just so strong at one particular thing. However, when I'm using something, I want to be able to have a wide variety of options. I want to be able to throw an overcharged grenade. I want to be able to deal sustained precision damage from a distance, or be able to get up close and deal damage wherever I need to, especially if I get chased into a corner. And when you do find your back up against the wall, it always helps to have Devour backing you up. And Guardians, that's going to have to be all for me for now. Go ahead in the comment section down below and let me know what your favorite way to use Revision 0 is. It's an incredibly versatile weapon, and there's awesome, powerful combinations all the time that you can be using with it, no matter what class or subclass you're using. And Guardians, until next time, be without form, swift as lightning.